Before we get into the video, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. I mean, come on, what are you doing if you're not subbed to me by now? My content is fire, from stop motions, news videos, reviews, music occasionally. All my social media accounts are linked down below, and now, let's get straight to it. Hello and welcome to the stop motion review on the glorious Legacy Commander class Armada Optimus Prime. We're going to talk about everything involving this figure, so let's get right down to it, shall we? First up, the front of the box is just decorated in the delicious Legacy Evolution color scheme with absolutely hot art of Prime right here, and the side shows a beautiful transformation sequence that you don't get often on Hasbro boxes. The back showing off the figure, and the top not much going on here. Alrighty, so the figure itself, starting off in truck mode, I love the look. Easily one of my favorite Optimus designs of all time. I'm just so grateful we finally have an updated Armada Optimus in the Generations line. There are some issues I have with this guy that I'll touch on later, but yeah, just a great looking truck mode overall. I can't stop looking at all the sculpted details and beautiful paintwork on this truck mode. I love the pickup armored truck type look he's got going on with him. The big wheels, the smokestacks, the silver paint on them, the gold highlights, the red and blue, just great. And taking a look at the trailer, I love how big and chunky this is. You got the tank treads there. It just looks so commanding and military and armored like. Love the blue and gray plastic, the gold and silver highlights. The missile rack poking out there is cool. The way you port the gun on top is accurate to the original toy and cartoon model, and it gives it a nice weaponizer type effect. It's also a nice play on the G1 trailer too, with the Autobot logo and the blue stripe there. It overall just feels nice and hefty in hand, and it just compresses so nicely. I don't know, you just gotta have it in hand to really feel what I'm talking about here. Got a couple ports at the bottom of the trailer here. One of them seems to be a port for a potential Overload figure coming out in the next couple years or so. I really hope they redo him. He needs an update badly. And to show off putting the trailer with the truck mode, you flip in the trailer hitch, and you got a port right there on the back of the truck. Notice there is visible hand syndrome with the super mode hands and the robot hands sticking out. It is a little bit of an eyesore, but it is accurate to the original toy and the cartoon model as well, I believe, so I can't complain about it too much. And ploop, you set that sexy trailer right on that sexy truck mode, and wow, would you look at this big armored chunky truck and trailer. It's just great. It's so amazing to see Armada Optimus back in the Generations mainline. The rims being painted silver there, and it's just so big and hefty looking. It rolls like a dream too. You got wheels underneath the treads, so the treads don't actually roll. It's a wheel underneath, but it does roll like butter. Taking a look at the gun, it's plugged on top of the trailer. You can just unplug it. There's a couple 5mm ports on top of the trailer. Taking a closer look at the gun itself, love the sculpted details all over this thing. It's just big, hefty looking gun. No paint on it, which does kind of suck, but you do have a 5mm port there for some pew ablings, and you got some ports for a combined weapon mode that I'll show off later on in the video. Baseball transformation time! And would you look at this unit of a base mode, you got all these weaponizer ports for some blast effects, all these missiles and guns you could flip out. I'll show it off a bit more when we talk about Optimus in the core robot mode and super mode, but you can remove the missile rack. Great sculpted details, some nice red and silver paint over there. Love all the missile details. You got a hinge right there for that one piece, and then another hinge for the top piece, and it's sort of like a clicky clanky type joint, so you get a little bit of resistance there, which is great. There are some stress marks on the sides of the trailer, things that you flip out on the side there. It's totally my doing. It's because I didn't know how to transform the trailer at first. I transformed the trailer first time with no instructions, and I didn't do a refresher for the reviews that have been out for the past 2 months, so totally my fault. Just be careful of that. I would recommend watching a video or looking at the instructions before trying to pull at the trailer and transforming it, so yeah, that sucks. And there is like a weird white mark over the missile rack here. I don't know if it's a stress mark or what. I don't know how I did that or how it happened. I don't know what's going on here. But I do think the plastic is strong enough that it's not going to break on me now that I know how to actually transform the damn thing. So don't worry too much. It was totally my fault just manhandling the figure. I do plan on getting a second copy to display in super mode or whatever you want to display it in. The clear plastic, I gotta commend Hasbro on this. There's no hinges for the transformation, so it doesn't get in the way of any of the QC of it. And it's accurate to the original toy model, so I can't hate on it too much. The red paint they used seems to be good enough, and the details on the inside, it's not harboring a bunch of robot bits, so it actually looks like car seats with a dashboard kinda. So the clear plastic here was actually utilized pretty well, and I don't mind it too much. There is an issue with this back wheel though. I don't know if it was pinned on the wrong way, but it's like super tight to roll, so it can't roll well, and there's this weird blot of silver paint on it that I could easily remove, but I just kept it to show you guys for the review in terms of QC. Alrighty, so comparison time. Let's show off something a bit random, but I always thought R80 2001 Scourge would look cool next to this guy in vehicle mode, and it really does. There is a bit of a size difference, you know, a leader class from 2001 and a commander class from 2023. It's a bit crazy, but I'm not going to get into that too much. It kind of balances itself out with engineering, so I'm not going to hate on this, but this does look great. I love these two early 2000s trailer truck monsters just going at it. I love it. Stop motion in the future, maybe, perhaps? I don't know. In the comparison, everybody else has actually won for this video. Hotshot and Armada Starscream. I'm just gushing over this. Y'all know Armada is one of my favorite Transformers eras of all time. Unicron Trilogy, Beast Wars, late 90s, early 2000s to the late 2000s. Y'all know the deal. And this is just great to see. Bring on more Armada updates, Hasbro. Come on. And the comparison with the cartoon model, you know, some liberties were taken, as there always is with these Generations updates from Hasbro. That's the whole point of the Generations line, and it always has been, so I'm not going to rail on that at all. But you can see the similarities and just all the details, the cartoon accuracy. It's some of the best we have ever seen and will ever see with this Armada Optimus, hands down. Now for the comparison with the toy model, you can see they did take a lot more inspiration from the toy, actually, so this is really crazy to see the evolution and how much better the newer one's details are. There is still some good in this older figure, but overall, the new Legacy one beats this older figure by far easily, even in terms of articulation. Obviously, y'all know how bricky and just terrible the old Armada line was, so awesome. Transformation time! Here he is in core robot mode, and wow, is this dude a beast to look at. All the bright colors, the red, the blue with the gray and black and gold highlights, it's just so dope. It looks so accurate to the cartoon model. All the nice sculpted details that we've known from Generations for however many years now are all here. The paint details are great, even though there's a little bit of gold missing on the feet, but he feels nice and solid, he looks great, accurate, love it. The head sculpt is great, but I do think they could have went a bit more exaggerated in terms of the anime tones with the ears, because in some panels they do look a bit long and like very stylized and detailed that you don't really get here on the toy model. But overall, this is pretty accurate to what we see anyway, and especially accurate to the original toy model, so I like it. Now getting into some cons of this core bot mode. First up here, The crotch section, as you can see, doesn't tab in too well, and the armor pieces do seem a bit long. They do bump into the legs at times when you're posing it. You can move it around for posability, which is great, but it does seem a bit long. But then again, it is accurate to some panels in the cartoon. These hip skirts and panels did differ in size, and we did see them this long at times, so I can't complain too much. And these panels here for the front of the truck mode, they're not pinned in, so they can untab kind of easily at times. And within the sections with the circular tab pieces there's a little bit of stress markage starting to happen because there's detents in there that do not withhold the quality of the plastic, and I don't know why they're starting to do this on newer generations figures. I first stated this in my Legacy Inferno review, like, the plastic they're using just doesn't go well with these weird, cheap detent joints. They gotta stop this. This could entirely be my fault, or it could be a QC factory issue that happened right out of the box. I'm not sure. I didn't spot this until like a few hours after I had it, but there's a crack right there on the hinge where you lift up the grill section, so just be wary of that piece. I don't know how this happened. Could have been my doing, could have been a QC problem, but just be wary of it. And along with the crotch section not tabbing in too well, the midsection doesn't hold together that well either due to the super mode transformation. When I try to tab the grill section, and sometimes it likes to pop out unless I hold in the midsection, tab it in as tight as I can, then plug the grill piece in, so that can be annoying at times, but there is a fix and it's not terrible to deal with either. And my last little bit of complaining for now, the shoulder pieces do not tab in, so they are a bit loose when you're posing them around at times. That can be annoying, but it's not the end of the world because they are tight joints. And the feet don't tab in too well either, so when you're trying to move them up or down, it likes to untab and that section flips up at times, so those two things are a bit annoying when you're posing it around, but the joints are tight enough to where it's not that noticeable. Would you look at that nice paint and sculpted detail on the smokestack guns? Ooh. You can plug some pew 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 abling effects on each of the ports, and that looks pretty cool. I love posing this around with the smokestack cannons at times. And you can plug in his big beefy black gun. Would you look at this right here? Isn't that menacing and fierce? The heroic leader himself. You can plug some pew 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 ablings up in there, and that looks even better to enhance the display possibilities. And you can take the smokestack cannons and combine it with the big cannon here. There's just two tabs up front like I showed earlier. You tab them right up in there in the front, and you got this combined effect going on here, which is okay. I'm not going to display it like this too often, but it is an option you can do. Taking a look at this beautiful silver grill chest, you could actually open this bad boy up, and you got a removable matrix up in there with some more sculpted details, silver paint, gold highlights. It's beautiful. It's awesome. You could also remove the matrix. It's just on a red port that's unpainted, and the matrix itself looks nice, but it is done in translucent white plastic, painted this goldish yellowish color. But there is an issue. He cannot hold it, much like the recent War for Cybertron game Optimus Prime figure. They didn't sculpt any openings in there for the hands, or there is no hand articulation like what they did with Laser Optimus or Earthrise Optimus, so that sucks. I don't know why they keep doing this now. I thought we moved past this, Hasbro. Stop doing this. Why? Side note, there are some extra compartments you could open up to show that he has a spark chamber. This is like one of the first details we've ever gotten on a Generations figure, showing his spark. This is absolutely awesome with the silver paint, the sculpted details, the gold highlights. I love it. And you could also open up the inside again, and you got this extra detail there when you open up the spark chamber, so that the inside of his chest just loaded with details. I love it, and it kind of makes up for him not being able to hold his matrix. Here is the Big Bot himself next to his base mode. This base mode is a fan mode that I made up because I think the official one looks pretty boring compared to this, and Even though you can't even pull off accurate ones from the cartoon model or the toy model for a base mode, this does still look pretty cool, and there's a lot of guns on them that really makes this look intimidating in a true base mode, and I think these work pretty well together.
Articulation time!
Now let's get into some size comparisons. Here he is next to Armada, Starscream in Hotshot and Robot mode, and this looks so great. I cannot wait for Megatron whenever he comes out. Could be a week from now. The release dates for Hasbro has just been crazy, but I also love it. We're getting these figures sooner, yay! Here he is next to some Optimus Prime figures from recent memory, Earthrise Optimus and War for Cybertron Optimus, and these have all been bangers in their own right. Here he is next to Leo Convoy and Optimus Primal for some late 90s, early 2000s Prime-esque character action. This is one of my favorite eras of Transformers that you guys know me by now for, and these three together, modern updates from the past couple of years, it is just so fantastic to see. It melts my little heart. And to compare it to one of the official cartoon models from the show, you could see that this is pretty freaking accurate. They did take a couple minor liberties, but everything is pretty spot on. The details, the paint, just everything. I just love the way this guy looks just standing there. Oh, amazing. And compared next to the original Leader class from 2002, you can definitely see where they took inspiration in terms of the overall look of this figure, and yeah, I love how this update came out.
Super Mode Transformation time!
There you have him in his glorious, big, chunky, hefty super mode. This thing is just fantastic to look at. I've had him in super mode for days now, and I just love playing with it. All the sculpted details, the gold highlights with the bright blue and red, and the gray with some silver highlights up in there. It's just a great, hefty feeling figure in hand. We're gonna get into the articulation, which is pretty great too. There are some issues that I have with it, which I'll cover here in a little bit in the video. But yeah, the back cleans up super nicely. You can remove the missile rack from the back skirt piece. It just tabs in on this big port, but that does leave it where you can't do anything with it in super mode. You can't have him hold it in his hand because there's no 5mm pegs for some reason. They should have added some pegs so you could hold it in super mode or in core robot mode. I just wish there was more to do with this missile rack than just plugging it on the hip skirt or just using it for the base mode. Closer look at this head sculpt. Yes, there is the controversy of the eyes being yellow instead of red. That does suck, but it is an easy fix. There was a screw on the back of the head, so I'm gonna do this after the review. I just left it here to show you guys. But yeah, I do love the head sculpt. The ears are nice and pronounced in gold, just awesome. This dude is armed to the teeth. Look at this missile rack right behind his head. You can plug some pew Ablings up in there like I showed off earlier in the base mode. You also got these knee cannons that you could flip out, which is crazy. It's not pew Abling. There's no ports up front there, which does kind of suck. For the hands here, I do not like the fact that the 5mm port just sits there. I wish they did the Jetfire thing where it goes into the hand when you articulate the fingers, but it's not too big of a deal. At least there's still finger articulation, and you can plug the gun up in there, which does look great, but it does seem a bit small. I don't know if it's just me, and the arms do seem a bit shorter than they should be compared to the legs in the midsection. I don't know if that's just me, but it is a minor complaint. And also, there is some stress mark issues on the joint where you flip out the ears. I don't know if it was just the joint breaking in or what, or if it's because of the detents, because there is detents in this joint yet again. I don't know why they're doing this on these newer figures, so just be careful of that. I don't know if it's just the joint breaking in when you first use it or what, but be careful. Now for some size comparisons. Here he is next to Armada, Starscream, and Hotshot, and yet again, I am just geeking out. This is fantastic. I love the way this looks together. Ooh! And then here he is next to my only other commander class, Jetfire. And yeah, he is shorter and smaller, but in terms of engineering, I'd say he makes up for it, and the plastic quality too, even though there are stress marks on him. Some of them from me being dumb, but others from QC or the way it was designed. But overall, I think this will last a bit longer, I'd say, than Jetfire maybe, but who knows, time will tell. But here he's next to Cybertron Optimus for some Unicron Trilogy comparisons. I don't have Energon Optimus because the original sucks, and I'm waiting for Hasbro to do a new one. Come on, Hasbro, give it to me, give it to me! Next to his cartoon model, I'd say they pretty much nailed the aesthetic, the details, the look of the robot mode. There is some paint missing on the gun, and there is a couple liberties taken, you know, but it is very accurate. And next to the toy, it's even more accurate in terms of the aesthetic and scaling. So he is missing the Minicon, which does suck for a $100 commander class, but it is what it is. I do think in terms of engineering and the build quality of this figure, it more than makes up for it, I'd say.
Articulation time!
Okay, my final thoughts on this bad boy. One of the most anticipated Optimus Prime figures ever. He lives up to the hype, I'd say. He does have some issues in terms of QC and tolerances. You know, he is missing the Minicon, no waist swivel in core robot mode, but that's due to transformation. He can't hold his matrix. There's, you know, a couple QC problems, but overall, I'd say he's pretty freaking great. And if you could find him for retail, I wouldn't pay more than retail though. Please do not do that, people. But if you could get him, get him. He is a beast of a figure. You're not going to want to miss out on this guy, because after a little while, I'm sure he's going to go up in value. He's going to skyrocket, much like Siege Jetfire. So, yeah, I recommend him. I'm happy with him. Thank you guys for watching this stop motion review, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye! I've been teasing this for a fat minute now, but, you know, with this Optimus Prime coming out and the War for Cybertron Game 1 that came out, schedules got pushed aside a little bit, but the next stop motion review should be this Voyager class Rise of the Beast battle trap, so let's hope and stay tuned. We'll see what the next stop motion review will be, people.